This land is your land. This land is my land.
And while it's not the case yet that this phenomena, this independent disalignment, has developed into a full-blown American sea change, a full-blown movement that's able to create and move an agenda to change the culture of politics. That hasn't happened yet. That's what we're working on. I do see a growing number of situations and circumstances and conflicts, if you will, that are going on around the country that I think are important because they show that as much as the political establishment might want to try to put the genie back in the bottle, they can't. They can't do it. Right now, the voters are related to as the thing that happens last in the political process, and that is considered choice. We have to change the definition and the meaning of what choice is to, rather than being a passive consumer at the end of the assembly line, to being an active creator of the choices that are getting made. And that's one of the reasons why I think primary reform is so crucial. What's a myth you'd like to see crumble?
Well, I guess I'll go for it. One myth I'd like to see crumble is that you have to have so much money to win political office. Seriously. Right now, Mayor Rahm Emanuel, $30 million in his war chest, is running against Chuy Garcia. Chuy doesn't even have $1 million, but he's in a runoff. So it can be done, okay? If you look at what's happening in D.C. right now, the GOP continue to try to undermine President Barack Obama. I'm not saying Barack Obama is the best man in the world, but he is the president. And they continue to try to undermine his leadership. You know, that myth needs to be dispelled to the point where, matter of fact, I'm going to just leave it at that because I'm kind of angry about the way they're dealing with the president. I'm going to leave it at that. No, I'm going to leave that alone. Yeah, I'm going to leave that alone.
One of the myths that we have to break down is that, again, they're not in it for the policy. They are, in fact, in it for the power. And I think the public intuitively understands that. At the end of the day, here's what it comes down to. Who has the majority and who wants the majority? The second myth that I think we need to break down is this, and this is perpetuated, at least in Arizona, almost on a daily basis. The people who register as independents do so because they are either apathetic or ignorant. Right? That's their view. Right? They do not recognize that it is an affirmative statement about what they care about, and that's why people are registering as independent or nonpartisan. They have given up on the existing political system, and they believe there has to be another way.
One myth that I would like to totally eradicate is that under the current system, if you vote, you can make a difference. Because the issue isn't just simply voting. The issue has a lot to do with what you're voting for, what the parties represent, what the people represent. I think it's important to recognize that when people keep voting and the same things happen, that turns them off to politics, to power, to anything. They want nothing to do with it. So I always think people are smart, that they don't go vote unless you give them a real and actual alternative, because otherwise the only thing that you're doing is playing into the hands of the people who take our vote and do nothing. It's just not true.
The myth that I'm most focused on right now is about the other being kind of dim-witted, the other being mean-spirited, the other being callous. And the really good news that when you take the time and you create the kind of space that allows for listening, and really living room conversations could be living room listening, and how do we start opening things up so that we start benefiting from the richness of our views used together and our energy put together. So.
All right, so now we're going to open the floor up to you.
you and me.